We've all heard the stories of online scams, identity theft, social media trolls, and even dating site frauds. But most of us think we would never become a victim of one of these predators. Well, my guest today is a business entrepreneur, brilliant, beautiful, and ambitious. She never thought it could happen to her until it did. After tremendous financial loss, cyberstalking, and identity assault, she's here to share about how she changed the game and what you can do to protect yourself with online strangers. She's the founder and CEO of Yours ID, and I want you to stay close because you're going to enjoy this. We'll be right back. Hello, friends. This is Brenda Crouch, and I want to welcome you to Inside Voice. For the next 30 minutes, we'll share secrets, stories, and insights about what drives your everyday decisions. This is your safe place to unfold the mysteries that speak to path and purpose. They are simple yet profound. So take a seat at the table and welcome to Inside Voice. Hello, we're back with my friend, Kelley Cahill. And Kelley, I want to just thank you for being here with me on Inside Voice today. I believe that your story is very powerful and you have a lot to give to our society, and you have a lot to say, to speak into some of the aspects of what it is to go through victimization from online predators. So you really have changed the game, and welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's really important. And, just trying to get the message out, which we need more of. And so I appreciate this conversation because hopefully it'll help, many. It happens every day, every 20 seconds online, and men and women. So it's important for both.
Sadly, I know I've been a victim in the past. We had Deborah Newell here on the show recently, and we talked about the Dirty John story. I mean, there are so many of them that are not publicized, and people are going through this and identity fraud and all kinds of things. So share with us first. I mean, let's just go back to what happened to you, and tell us what inspired you to come up with an incredible technology that is really changing the game.
So, it goes back to 2005 when I met someone on, Match.com dating site after my divorce. And this is sadly what I see is I was very naive at the time about using computers and what to do. And, it's kind of new to me. And what I learned is, you think you want to meet a partner. And, most women or men, you write a diary, everything about you. You want to get everything in. And unfortunately, what I learned is that these men, they use it. As a directory, as a diary for them, and they study everything. And so unfortunately, I met somebody that I thought, we could, our relationship was going to go somewhere. It was promising, it was exciting, it was new. And, unfortunately, a year later, we're talking, I made a lot of financial decisions, thinking we were going to be together. And I found out a year later that he was actually married.
Oh my!
Never divorced, never separated, and that he was pretty much a serial con man. And unfortunately, as a result, I lost, everything, totaling about 1.5 million. It's actually been more now over the years.
Oh my goodness.
My house, my cars, my credit, and then for over 10 years, my life from the online harassment, stalking, stress, and. Once you out these people, that's when the crazy starts. And that's when I decided to start speaking out about it, that's when all the bad stuff happened.
So take us back to some of that drama that you're speaking of. I mean, give us an example of some of what he put you through when you confronted him.
Right. So when I had confronted him, I had actually been helping his wife for months, trying to get a divorce at that time. She really didn't let on. I certainly didn't have conversation with him. But her behavior was a little different. So we found out that he went through her phone bill and found my number. And that's when I finally got a call. And it literally, he sounded almost like the devil. It was a completely different human with just such anger, but threatened to kill me. all of my, turning off all the electricity, everything at the house. He changed my mail. Somehow he got money out of the bank that was a joint bank account. I found out later, he charged up all my credit cards over the limit because he knew all my information, opening credit cards in my name, got into my computer and pretended to be a very good friend of mine that most of my clients knew, and sent out disparaging emails saying things I probably can't say on this channel about me, but I didn't know why I was losing my clients.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it took me months and months to find that.
He was
so I didn't
hitting
know.
you where it hurt.
Well, yeah, and slandering me online, and
Right.
partnered with somebody in a editor of a publication that is no longer around, but somehow they partnered, and I don't want to get into how they partnered, but an underground site where they do some nefarious things. But anyway, they went after me hard, and so I couldn't get a job in this town. I had people, I lost friends.
Oh my goodness.
And I was just trying to hold on at that point to my home, to everything, because I was just, I was floored. Everything for the whole year, we had been in relation. It was now just completely different.
Wow.
And so I was just in survival mode.
Yeah, and one of the things that the reason I wanted to kind of bring this subject to the show and bring you on is I know you personally. You're a friend of mine, and you're an amazingly, you're a brilliant individual. You're very smart. Your business ethics are amazing, and you are in the health and wellness industry and the beauty industry, and I have a lot of respect for you as a friend, as a person, as a businesswoman. But I wanted to point out the fact that, and Deborah and I spoke about this. This is happening to smart women. This is not, people look at these situations and think, well, how dumb can you be, And I think that there's something behind it in that we're very vulnerable when we're putting our best foot forward in building a new relationship. There's a vulnerability about wanting to be wanted, wanting to be loved. Give us an encouragement for what we can do now to protect ourselves from people that we meet. Tell us how it works, and how this can be an added measure of protection to make sure that somebody is who they say they are.
Right. So going back to the point of where women, they blame themselves, and even some men who've come forward, and I think there's less men percentage-wise. I believe there's more, but I've had, very successful CEOs reach out to me even on LinkedIn saying, I've never told anybody this, but I was scammed. And I think men feel shame, like I should know better. I should be smarter.
Right.
And what I've had to learn, unfortunately, is when someone has no conscience, they're capable of anything.
That's good.
And a normal brain, and this is why also with my company, why I take, we're not about victimization. We're about the opposition. We're on the, offense, not defense.
Right.
But, when you have a good brain, which is, and a kind soul, and just a good human being, we cannot, I would say a normal brain can't wrap its head around crazy. And this is unfortunately what I had to learn how to do, and why I created my technology, because I had been through every single thing that he did to try to hack me, to get in, to create fake profiles, pretending to be me, pretending to be other people, putting me on cheater sites, putting me all over the internet, slandering me again with things I can't really say here. Just everything you could call a woman and say about a human being, I've been called and told. And so I had to start thinking, several steps ahead, because one thing these people are, they're wicked smart, and I give them that. They are very cunning, and sadly, they don't use it for good.
Right.
But they're very smart, and even the smartest people can be taken advantage of. So it has nothing to do with you being stupid. It has everything to do with you being a good soul, and that's not your fault.
Yeah.
These people are cunning. And so in figuring out what I wanted to do, yes, my background is beauty, but there's probably about 20 women just in Orange County that contacted me, and there's probably 250 globally, if not more now. And after one of the last people contacted me, women, there just something rose up, and I just said, you know what, enough is enough.
Yeah.
I come from a great, very Christian background, family, family and military, police, and I, know right from wrong. And I just said, this is wrong, and somebody has to do something about it. And I just had an idea, and I just said, this can't be okay anymore. Someone has to do something. So I'm going to do it. And so I just had an idea, and then I started reaching out to people that I thought knew a lot more than me, and said, can this be done?
Yeah.
And if so, let's build this.
Wow.
And I had to literally teach myself everything about technology. And it's been a 13-year journey.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
and
long
hence,
time.
finally, here we are with the launch of Yours ID, YOORZ, which is the phonetic spelling of yours, because it is yours, it's you, it's your identity. And I know millennials like the funky spelling.
They do.
And
I'm learning how to do that.
And so I thought, well, that's kind of catchy. But I was like, well, what is it? What are we really doing? It's yours. It's your identity. And I decided to market to the 80% of the good people that have nothing to hide, that are going to say, hey, look, I'm going to vet and verify myself.
Right.
And let you know that I'm credible. I am who I say I am. And then in return, plus also to back up, since we're going into a digital footprint, once you have your are verified through Yours ID, it's going to protect your identity. So it's kind of like, why wouldn't you want to do it?
Wow.
And so it allows you, once you get verified and you have your badge, you have your own community, you can then start sending share button, like button, just tell people, hey, check this out. Look, I'm verified, gives you credibility for one. But it also protects your identity. And it's a tool now that we can use to just say, hey, look, we have a barrier now. Like, we're not going to let people just continue to take advantage of us out there, because they have. 20% is controlling 100%.
Can you ask your friends or people that you meet if they'd be willing?
You can, yes, you can certainly do that. You can send it. And then we also have an app for women. Also, if you're out, it's called Yours on the Go. And this is really for women more so that are traveling, out, by themselves or out at a bar or restaurant. But we have an app that will allow you, let's say if you meet somebody and they want to say, oh, let's go down the street or go to a bar, or hey, let's meet up tonight for dinner. You can easily put in their either name or even just a phone number that they give you. Nowadays taking selfies, getting information, which I tell women, always make sure you get first, last name at least, or even a phone number, but which you could excuse yourself and just go in our app, put just basic information. And if that person has a felony, or if things are coming up different than what they said, at least it'll give you, you can, again, we're all adults. We don't want to force anybody to do this, but it'll give you the deciding factor, be in control.
Right, and it empowers the user.
Well, right, because we don't know, and so at least it's one barrier to entry.
That's good. Okay, this guy really came after you on another whole level. And I mean, tell us, most people just don't even conceive of how somebody can actually get a credit card in your name, or how does that happen? Well,
unfortunately for me, I was very trusting, and and immediately I realize now that these guys do. So a sociopath, typically 6 to 9 months, they can hide their fake persona, which is why also in the case of the Dirty John, these guys move quick. Wow. They want to have a relationship quick. They want to get married quick. They want to do things quick so they can get a hold, have part of your bank account. Let's do a joint or let's do a business together. They start with some angle that gets them entangled into your world, so you're kind of stuck. So because I trusted Dave, and what is his name? But he knew my mother's maiden name. I have nothing to hide, right? So you're trusting somebody. He did our billing, our banking. We had a joint account for the house to fix and flip. I had mine, he had his. But he knew my social, he knew everything. He knew the passwords to my computer, because again, I have nothing to hide. I don't think this person's going to be using it against me. So unfortunately, when you go online, and even with the bank, you're just inputting that information. And so if somebody does have, they might know your last known address, your social security number, and or your mother's maiden name, simple things like that, or your maiden name. It's very easy, unfortunately. Which is when we developed Yours, the technology where we have 7 layers of security, multifactorial, not only biometrics, but security, liveliness detection, anti-spoofing, documentation document verification. And if you don't get past one step, you don't get to the others. It's really like a vault within each.
Is that more than the norm for other verification sites?
No, it's normally two-factor authentication for fintech banking. But the problem is, and I just read an article that banks, there are several banks that just had a huge breach because it's very easy. Most people know you could go anywhere and get a fake driver's license and a fake passport. Bad guys do it all the time. And unfortunately, when you're just using a document verification, anyone can become anyone. And that's the problem. And I realized that when, he's lied about his age, and the only thing he's told the truth about was actually his picture and his name, but he's always lied 3 years younger, lied about his college degrees, several other things. But they, and he's altered many documents. So it's very easy to do that. And so with what we did is every step, I just thought of how could someone get through this? And then what could stop them? And so, which is another reason why on the B2B side, we're really want to partner with banks and some others, because the two multi-factor authentication anymore, it's not enough.
Yeah. Wow. It's a crazy world, and it's always changing. I mean, because technology is always changing. And so it's pretty hard to keep up with all of that. And most people just aren't educated when it comes to technology. And, they learn apps are pretty easy to use. And so, and these different sites that we get on, but we actually are exposing ourselves in many cases to danger. So I really appreciate that you have put this into play. And how easy is it? Tell us about the app and how easy it is to access and to use, and how long does it take? So
we're in both App Store, app for Apple, Google Play. You download the app, and I'd say it's taken me, I think the quickest I've done it maybe 3 minutes. And, I've said this before, but, and I want people to understand, we are I call it a microwave society.
Yeah.
We want everything fast.
Right.
And when
it's part of our problem.
Yeah, right. And when you understand taking, the 3 minutes, maybe 4, if it takes you to go through the app, because you are answering questions, and there's a reason for them, timing and keystrokes, and, you have to do your document verification, so your driver's license. But the simplicity, the 3 minutes, in my case, could have saved me millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
And over 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
It could save you your life. It could save you your friend, your family member, your elderly parent from, a scam. And so I want people to understand, with the level of security that we have, if it was any less, I would be skeptical.
Yeah.
But what I'm very proud of what we've developed, because even though it is very complex, it's very quick. I mean, we are going through millions of records, documents, verifying, and really understanding, making sure that the person that is saying they are them, because this is an end user verification. This is where the good people, you, me, and everybody here in the studio, most people watching, are going to say, look, I'm going to verify myself.
Right.
And it's very different than a background check where you're running a background check on someone else. And that could give you a false sense of security if you don't know specifics of an individual. Because my predator con, his name's very common. And I've even looked in where he lives. There's many men with the same thing, close to the same birth date. And so sometimes a woman, if she's just doing that, could get the wrong person and think she's safe. And so why ours is different, it's allowing, basically, if you're not you're not going to be able to get through it. And then again, when you're asking someone else to do it, you can rest assured, if they go through those steps, you can feel confident that it is them. But it really isn't more than 3 minutes, maybe. But that 3 minutes, like I said, not only could either save your life, or a lot of money, or a lot of stress.
Yeah, and it's an unfortunate reality that we have to deal with. We have to live with and understand that there are ways of finding peace of mind. And I also know that you are a woman of faith and prayer, and I'd love to know how God was present to you in the coming out of such an awful situation. Where was God to you, and how did your faith play a role in turning from that, it's so easy to get stuck in the ruminating and the victim mindset of how could this have happened? And, you have to process it. But how did you come through that to healing and to making it your mission and your purpose in life instead of something that destroyed you?
Mm-hmm. It's funny. Patience was never a virtue. And God has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And, I have to say, not very many people know, but had it not been for my dogs that I had at the time, after my divorce, it was the only thing I took, I would have killed myself.
Wow.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And
you
most
lost
people,
everything.
Not only that, just from the online, the pressure, the bullying, the lies, the publicity of it all. It was too much.
Yeah.
And it was my dogs that saved me. And then after that, it was literally the grace of God was like, no, I said, I've got to get out of this. So I started volunteering.
Wow.
For people that were much less fortunate. And I realized in that moment, making a difference, there's always somebody else that has it worse. And even though mine was terrible, I was still blessed because I had family that, thank goodness, that was there that could help me. And, over the years, I was very frustrated, a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness. And I think in the 13 years, God has shown me I've had to have that grace to forgive.
Yeah.
I had to. Not for him, for me.
Right.
But also to be able to grow this.
Yeah.
And, there's many stories within the growth of also being taken advantage of by people that saw what I had.
Yes.
But I just believe he softened me, but he also had me go through that hard stuff because I know now coming out and being visible and starting to talk about this, I know it's out in social media, but it's like there's nothing anymore that anybody could say that's going to shatter me or rock my world because I know what I'm doing. I'm doing to protect people. I did this because I wanted to prevent what happened to me from happening to others and to just protect people. And I think God had, through all of this, has had to make me stronger, had to make me wait when I didn't want to wait. I'm learning to embrace the no's and the closed doors or the no as a no, not now.
Right.
And I truly believe that, such a time as this, that the timing now is perfect. But I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the grace of God. Like, as you said, I'm a beauty girl. I didn't go to MIT. I didn't go to business school, but there's no way that I could have learned the technology and just all the intricacies of what we're doing if it wasn't for someone other than myself to give me the intelligence and the understanding and the quick learning and the drive. Because, when there's nobody else there to push you, it's easy to just let it go. But every time when I wanted to stop and say, I just can't do this, or I've had people and family members, this has been going on for so long, it's never going to happen.
They're good for that, aren't they?
And, I get it. But every time there was just something in my gut, or I'd get a message from a victim that I helped. And I'm like, I cannot let this go. I cannot give it up. And, there's some amazing people in the Bible that had to be very patient.
That's right.
And, but their dreams always came to pass. And that's
God
one
works in
thing that I know, that
That's
God
true.
will make it come to pass when it's ready.
And I love that it's come to fruition, and the birthing of yours is here. And I love being a part of being able to share about it and to share about your life and the difference that you're making. For as long as I've known you, you've been a genuine soul that I have often thought, what a kind and wonderful person Kelley is. And I think you bring a lot of love to the people that cross your path and people that come to your spa. I know I've been a patron at your spa, and you just have a wonderful way about you with people. And so I do believe that there's a reward for trusting God and for waiting, and allowing Him to take what the enemy meant for our harm and to turn that around and to use it for good. And when He does that, I know this to be true, Kelley, in my own life, life, he will use it for the good of the whole community. It's not just for me, not just for you, but for others as well. And, so much wisdom to be gained in the unfortunate experience and the truth of it. But, I really hope that our viewers today have heard the message that you can be a very smart person. You can be male, you can be female. This can happen to you. And, this is a technology that you can utilize, and it's called Yours ID. And Kelley, tell us how they can find it, this app. Is it on the App Store?
Yeah, it's on the App Store,
general?
so they can go to either Google Play, again, or the Apple Store, Yours, YOORZ. And you can just download it. We also have our website, yoursid.com.
Okay.
And I'm also, I'm on all social media as well. And I will be, trying to do more to start promoting it now that we're ready, and now also that I received my patent. So I'm very proud of that.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
And I know even government agencies have really commended you for the level of the vetting process and the technology involved. It's really an amazing program. So,
yeah, where I'm really proud of like I said, of my team and just of, people that believed in me, that, finally I've taken what's been in my head and that they were able to execute it, but in just such a great way, even bigger, you know, God's ways are always bigger.
They are.
Bigger than what I had really thought in the beginning, again. And where the technology now, like back then, I don't think it would have been as successful because nobody really, everyone's like, nobody knows blockchain. Nobody's going to give you their footprint or their fingerprint, facial ID, know, and now it's in everyday everything that we do, everywhere we go, there's some form of biometrics or something. Yeah. And so, like I said, I do think, God has his ways, but I think I had to wait and be patient to grow. And to be able to, birth this amazing technology that I hope will protect everyone.
Yes, I do too. Amazing. Thank you so much, my friend, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And you friends, thank you for joining us. I know that you were intrigued, and I hope you came out of this a little bit smarter. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brenda Crouch. Thanks for joining us at the table. I hope this video has inspired you to walk closer with God. And if you've been encouraged, leave us a comment below. Here's another video that can speak to your path and purpose, and check out this playlist. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, and we'll see you next time on Inside Voice.